Hi friends, this is Matway here to talk to you all about how to create awesome note cards. It's very important that as you watch this video, you take moments to pause and complete the task as I am doing them here in the video. It'll help you through the note-taking process. So before we get started with actually creating note cards, there's a very important question that we need to answer, which is why should you create note cards when you research? And the answer is not very complex, it's just that the goal of creating note cards is to help us organize all the information that we've researched. Right now we've only read one article and we've only highlighted one article. However, as we read more articles and highlight more information, we're going to have more notes. And it's really important that you keep that information organized. And the way that we are going to do it is through note cards. So you're going to want to clean up your workspace. Obviously, you will need your computer to watch the video, but you will also need your source. So you were supposed to highlight a source for your fun home learning activity. If you have that source with you, you should take it out and have it on your desk. You should also have your highlighted thesis/argument worksheet. That's a little worksheet where you wrote down your thesis and your two arguments and you highlighted your two arguments in two different colors. You should have some blank note cards. If you don't have any, you can grab some from the back of the room. And you need a pen or a pencil, because obviously you need to write down some information on these note cards. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to label all your highlighted sources with a number. Some of you may have highlighted a few sources in class on Friday, but most of us only have one source. So you can label that source number 1. And you can label, if you have any, the next source number 2, and so on and so forth. Okay, this may seem kind of crazy now, but this actually comes in handy when you are creating note cards. It's very important. So this is an excellent time to pause the video and to label your highlighted source or sources with a number. And you want to go consecutively. So source number 1, source number 2, source number 3, and so on. Now, the first and most important ingredient to an awesome note card is an important piece of information. Now we have our blank note card. These important pieces of information are actually what you have highlighted in the articles. Okay, so you're going to write down the highlighted information from your articles because the highlighted information supports one of your two arguments. And there are some very important rules you must follow when you're writing down the highlighted information. You should write down bulleted pieces of information that supports an argument. You will not use complete sentences. These are notes. Notes should not be taken in complete sentences. And you should also, most importantly, put all the information into your own words. That is important because we do not want to plagiarize or copy somebody else's words. Really important. And I'll show you an example of that in a second. Now, this is a piece of highlighted information from my article. The canopy also provides habitat for a rich diversity of species, especially migratory birds. As rainforests disappear at a rate of 40 million acres a year, shaded coffee farms play an increasingly critical role in preserving tropical habitat. So I have my blank note card here, and there's a lot of information in these two sentences. So I may have a few bullets on this card of notes to support my argument. So the first thing I pulled out of here is that the rainforest canopy is really a habitat for many species. So I wrote that down. Rainforest canopy, habitat for species. Okay, all the other words I felt weren't really important and I didn't need to write them down. I also felt that it was really important to know that a great statistic that the rainforest disappears at 40 million acres a year. So I wrote rainforest disappear, 40 million acres a year. And then the last most important piece of information was that most coffee farms are actually not shaded coffee farms. They are unshaded farms where they have to tear down all the forests in order to grow the coffee. So this is a great piece of information because it's really important to say that, if a coffee is grown by a shaded farm, it helps save those species. So I wrote down shaded grown coffee farms are important for the species. Okay. These were my pieces of information. They're in bullets. I did not use complete sentences, or I tried not to use complete sentences, and I put everything in my own words. That is very important. I didn't pull words directly from the source. Okay, that is important. So before we move on to the next step, what I'd like you to do is pause the video right now. Look in your article and where you have that first piece of highlighted information, try to put the information on the note card in bulleted form, not in complete sentences, and in your own words. Go try that right now, and then come back for the next step. So the next step is pretty easy. This is where those numbers that you wrote on your note card comes into play. It's putting your source code on your note card. Let's say 2 weeks from now you go back to this note card and you're like, I have no idea what is going on here. I don't know. I can't read my writing. I don't understand what this means. Okay? And having a source code is great because then you know where that came from, where that piece of information came from. So you can go back to that source. Okay? So that's what those numbers were for. So all of this information that I got came from my first source. So in the right-hand corner, I'm going to put in my source code, and it's going to say source number 1. I don't know where the R went in that source, but it was there before. All right, so source number 1. If information came from a different source, maybe source number 2, you would write source number 2 in the upper right-hand corner. So why don't you take a minute and pause the video and add to the note card by writing the source code on your note card in the upper right-hand corner. And then come back for the last, final step. Now, the third ingredient to your perfect and awesome note card is identifying which argument the piece of information best supports. So I have my note card here with my bulleted information that's in my own words. I have my source code on my note card, and now I need to identify which argument it best supports. Okay, and that's going to go in the upper left-hand corner of your note card. So argument number 1 for my thesis was that growing coffee beans destroys the animals in their habitats. And then argument number 2 was about how coffee production contributes to global warming. Now, the great thing is that you highlighted based on the arguments. So maybe argument number 1, you highlighted it in pink, and maybe argument number 2 was in green. So that makes this task even easier. But before you write anything down in your note card, why don't you see which argument do you think that these notes best support? If you said argument number 1, which is about habitats, you're right. It's talking about habitats and how growing coffee beans, if it's done the right way, can actually save those habitats. Okay? So, take a moment, pause the video, look at your argument key, and write in the upper left-hand corner which argument the information that you wrote on the note card best supports. Either argument number 1, and then write a little few words as to what the argument's about, or argument number 2. Go ahead and do that right now. So now you should have a final product of your note card. That's a really giant note card right there. You should have your bulleted information that is in your own words and not in complete sentences, or try to not use complete sentences. You should have your source code in the upper right hand corner, and you should have identified which argument that piece of information best supports. Right? Now your goal is to create 5 note cards by the end of the period today, and then you obviously can come back and refer to this video at any time while we are taking notes if you need assistance. Good luck!